And make myself, there we go. Okay, so we're live on both. Hey, welcome. Can I get a mic check real quick? Am I sounding okay? Am I coming through clear? Is it loud? Let me see, microphone Yeti. Yep, we're good. Okay. So I posed a question to the people coming over here early on the Zoom chat. What is illegal but can be lawful? Simple question. And it doesn't make sense to 95% of the world out there because we associate legal and lawful as the same thing. And legal is really kind of like a term that associates yourself to a community of persons versus being lawfully under God as somebody in republic or as a state citizen. So let me give you an example. Um, driving without a license. Driving without a license has already been ruled by the Supreme Court as 100% lawful. There's nothing they can do about it, but it is 100% illegal. So if you were to be caught, the law enforcement would more than likely, if you had a driver's license or an expired license, more than likely issue you a ticket of driving without a license, or if it was suspended, issue a ticket for driving on a suspended license. The only way to drive without a license is to completely cancel the contract. Now you're driving or traveling, whatever, lawfully, but they actually in the Supreme Court use the terms driving. And we all know that driving is a commercial term, so I don't want to get into that with everybody. But first and foremost, welcome. I want to thank everybody for coming on. If you're not here early or on the Zoom side early, you're gonna miss a couple jokes, maybe. But today we're going to be addressing some previous questions. David, I got your questions. We're going to get to them. So don't worry about that. And sorry about last week. It's I'm getting married next week, guys. It's a big time in my life, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work because it's got to be perfect for the type of people, person, woman I am marrying. Woman, female. I don't know if female is the correct term, but yes, definitely not a man. Um, everybody's all thank God, God. We all know. We all get it, Kelby. Uh, I don't have anything against, y'all want to be same sex, whatever. It's just not for me. It's not my cup of anything. But yeah, time to move on. Anyway, yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be perfect. Matt's going to be there. I'm pretty excited about that. But listen, guys, we are. I first want to address something because I just want to get a public response. I'm not going to name anybody. There's a there is a lot of rumble in the Republic, and I want to clear some air. There's a woman who I haven't named yet, who is about to be named in a federal case for defamation. I spoke to the attorneys today. Defamation is clear, it's evident, and she even, um, but I had responded to her directly, but without using her name in a when I went live a couple weeks ago or whatever. And it was because I'm watching the dissent of some people within the Republic, not understanding the context of what has been done in the Republic or how Republic actually operates. And I'm watching people that I've known for a very, very long time. And I want to say some things very specifically and very clearly so that people know that we are um, we are operating above reproach. And and all the way to the point that we're not pretending to be republic. We're just saying we're an interim government waiting for the people to stand, and it takes a certain amount of people in every state to stand so that we can operate the republic for the people. Now, here's the irony: everybody's out there trying to get into a republic and start a republic, and they don't understand. Number one, a republic's already been re-inhabited. There's a three series book or three books series called Re-inhabited, and after the show, I'll put the links below. Um, it shows the history of the country, well researched, well versed, how we re-inhabited, and the stuff that we faced over the last 15 years. of doing the whole thing. And the one thing that I can say unequivocally is I've seen the hand of God through the whole thing. And the people and the leadership, um, I have stayed by their side. I have been 100% supportive. And I was picked by James Timothy Turner back in 2012 to be the treasurer for the Re-inhabited Republic, which really doesn't mean anything unless, you know, you've gotten to the point where you're accepted by the masses. And it doesn't take the whole country to accept, because the Republic would just happen naturally and we could actually re-inhabit portions of the Republic, and we can take property back out of the public and bring it into the private, which is a great one of the starter questions that we got that I'm going to be dealing with. And but I just want to say that the very people who got me into the very person that got me into the Republic has really let me down, and um uses God as the reason to thwart um what this nation and what these people and what we as a body have had to go through. He had to go through more than anybody. And he, in fact, was put into prison. And I'm being very cautious with using his name. But I consider him a friend. And I am publicly saying he is dead wrong in what he is doing. Um, and I'm saying this for the express purpose that there are people out there that are a splinter group thinking they can just go and take the documents as they've been done, because it may or may not have their signature on them, or because it may not, or may not realize there's a process, and they created a digital um, contract, which is legal, which is why I started this whole conversation. What is legal but not lawful? So when you understand what I'm asking the question, what is legal but not lawful? Driving. Driving is 100% without a license. Driving without a license is 100% illegal, but it's 100% lawful. It's just like a signature, digital signature, 100% legal, but it's not lawfully in most cases going to be have form and effect. You know, when it comes to, you know, you can do doc signing and different things using a digital form of signature, but there's next level things that are taking play that are bringing you into a system where it is legal 100%. Um, and it's taking you out of a system where it's not lawful. And, you know, what is a signature? Signature is a man with a true autograph. You know, a signature by law is one who can, this is the literal definition, one who can attest to the validity of the instrument. And so when you understand that a signature has a defined legal term, why would they need to define a an autograph? Well, it's because you're doing something above and beyond what you thought you would be doing. You're attesting to the validity of an instrument. Then you go and look at the definition of an instrument and you start going down a rabbit hole. So I have a seal. It's a family seal. This is 100% silver. This is for melted wax kind of a thing. You drip wax and then you press this in, and it's got my name in reverse on here, but when it prints out, it'll print out my name on forward. And I got this beautiful little cap. And there's a definition in Bouvier's dictionary way back in the 1800s that talks about the mark of a real man is has an attached seal. And so you know you're dealing with a man by his family crest, his family seal, versus just an autograph or just a signature. And that's in old law, that's in present law, and it's something that has to be determined. So when this splinter group that is created um, by this gentleman who split off the formal republic, they started going on a negative campaign. One of them was a lady um, who just I don't know if it's wanting to be in the spotlight, wanting to be known, or if she's an agent or disinformation agent, but she's not She's not really smart. And just notice, I'm not saying her name. So I can say anything I want, but she's just not smart because you don't publicly defame people, bring up. And what she did, she brought forward this old affidavit. And there's been two instances, one of which I got a formal apology from the person because they just were wrong and they're old and they didn't remember properly. Um, but they accused another guy and myself of doing something, and I don't even know who this guy was. And so I'd asked him very clearly, why do you think that? And we got to the bottom of it, why he thought that. I was basically I was working within the offices of this other guy, and this other guy had taken a lot of people for a lot of money. Had nothing to do with it. But this new thing, and it's nothing, it's not a big deal, but this new thing is some guy, and we're getting to the bottom line, and we're going to give him an opportunity to self-correct. And here's the crazy thing that I did business with some judge on a foreclosure prevention thing that everybody knows I did foreclosure prevention from like 13 to 16 and then stopped 2013 to 2016, somewhere in there. Um, but this is before that. And this is, I did business with a federal judge and we split the money and we harmed this guy somehow. And I don't even know why they're doing that because it's just simply not true. And I have watched people in this republic, more than likely agents or just dumb people operating on behalf of agents or dumb people that are allowing for a spirit issue in their life that they just want to combat everything and everybody. But I've watched people in this republic for the last 16 years, it's about how long it's been, do whatever they can to cause disinformation and tear down what God has put together. And now it's come from one of the highest sources within the republic who founded the original republic. And my heart just sank. And I literally teared up because he is the only reason why I am the man that I am today from a standpoint of knowledge. I mean, I've gotten excessive knowledge beyond him, but he was the guy that I went and saw uh, a seminar with in 2008. That is 17 years ago. And he sucked me into showing me a new world. And I stood by this guy's side and I watched him go away for a long time. And I fed him money and got members to feed him money. And many people in Republic supported him and kept him going and gave him money. And when he got out, he got a big chunk of money from the Americans for Republic Foundation. And what this group is they went on SG and we're going to give them an opportunity to repent and change their heart towards their position of publicly outing us. And we're going to do it a very unique way. And they started just bashing everybody in the Republic, the real Republic, and myself and his advocates. And they made claims that his advocates is commingling money with the Republic because, and I don't know where they're getting this from. Number one, there's no basis of anything that they could make a claim on. They're just making a suggestion and throwing it out in the sky, and everybody's going, "What?" And I'm addressing this publicly, and I don't really need to address this publicly, but I'm addressing this publicly because I want people to have a real understanding of what is evidence and what is hearsay. Because hearsay is kin to um, defamation, and hearsay can get you in a lot of trouble. And so, reading a supposed affidavit live and saying the words Ponzi scheme when we as a ministry don't have complaints and doing state citizenship for as long as we've been doing it is defaming the character of what I believe God has put together for both the Republic and for his advocates, and saying that there, and I don't know if they made an exact term alleging that there's been a commingling or whatever. There hasn't been anything. I'm on the accounts because I'm operating as the Treasury Secretary for the Republic. I'm going to have to be on accounts, but we can't start a Treasury. Watch. We're the interim government. We can't formally start a Treasury. So I, knowing what I know, set up Americans for Republic Foundation, and I put the president of the Republic on the foundation with myself for accountability. And I gave him a year's worth of bank statements a week and a half ago. He knows the balance and he knows every transaction that's in the account. Bottom line, the accountability for a private foundation is between me and God and the person that oversees me in the Republic. And that's it. And what was being done was people are saying, we need to see the Form 990 for your tax exempt status with the IRS, and we need to see this and that. And I'm like, okay, so I'm talking to ignorance. How do I do it and not blast them, not cuss them out, not help them understand you're in Republic and you're asking me about a form from the IRS? Who are you? It's like, so I did some background and I found out who they are. And I found out through my law firm that they have in fact violated me from a standpoint of defaming my character publicly. And I got a case. I also found out they got a house. And I also found out many things that they're gonna absolutely regret. And here's the bottom line. Do I want money? No. I want people that are either operating as agents for the devil or agents for the federal government to shut the heck up. And we're watching, maybe, but it does look like we've gone from dark to a little bit of light in de facto. Maybe. But it also looks like we're being walked into potentially some traps. I'm not saying Trump is a trap, but I will show you clinical trials that are being taken place right now with Elon Musk and the Neuralink chip that they want to give everybody. And I will show you things that will make you question. And I've always said this, Elon Musk, that we got to consider he's in the most powerful position in the world. And why? He's doing an exceptionally good job, I think, but I am in the same form and opinion that um, we got to cut check this one a lot more, and we got to keep our eyes on this one and hope that he is not ushering in um, a system that we biblically disagree with. Now, on that note, in the private side, it seems to be mirroring the public side, government wise. In the private side, there's always been these attacks. And I remember the first original attack in 2012, where we got blown apart. Literally, the Republic re-inhabited. Within 2 or 3 years, it was infiltrated all the way around. And the guy that took this new group and dissented and started Republic 2.0, that guy, um, forgot his way, forgot about due process and procedure, forgot about what we have done since he's been in prison, and thinks that he can take the work of 20,000 people because he has got one signature on it of many and walk away and hold it to himself. Now, I'm not criticizing him. I'm criticizing a faulted thought process. Now, either a couple things I have to just say this. Either he is compromised spiritually or he is compromised physically. And compromise physically can be twofold. It could be a pain medication affecting decisions, or it could be a bribe that they're holding something over on him. Because you don't engage at the level that we all have together as one unit under God, and then just randomly say, it's over. And I'm going to take what I did because my name's on it, and I'm going to start over. And supposedly, the leader of the free world, the money guys, have approached him only because he's special, completely removing and disacknowledging, if that's even a word, what processes have been done to restore the republic, to take a bunch of people that have no idea about law or due process or what we've done to re-inhabit, and then start invoking hate. The very thing that this guy is saying he's removing himself from republic, they are all doing in the public. They are invoking hate, invoking disinformation, invoking a divided people. You know what God said? That he hates division amongst the brother. And guess who is the king right now of division amongst the brotherhood? That guy. And I'm not saying his name on purpose, but you might know who he is. And it's a guy that I supported for a lot of years. And I've removed my support from because the word of God is clear. You have left the republic, started 2.0, which is not lawful, not legal. And you think because your signature is on the original set of docs that you can claim them and completely remove the acknowledgement of the due process that has been done from the beginning to present day. No, there's a thing called chain of title. And the custody of which things are done have to be going. You have to go back to the beginning and look at the process of what all the people did. And if people did not agree with what he is doing, he can't go back to the beginning over here and just say, I'm going to claim this little thing over here and remove all of this over here. Because it was the people that did the original thing. It wasn't just him. Hence, his ideology, his thoughts, his process is flawed. And so when I hear people saying negative things about Jim Geiger, the true president of the re-inhabited republic, who actually lawfully got elected by the people, not all of America, the people that were attempting to be in republic and decided to vote. And then you have all the people that came in underneath Jim. By the way, I was appointed by the other guy and approved by Congress. And then these dissenters that are all leaving are basing it on the fact that I said when they wanted to see my Form 990 for Americans for Republic Foundation, which is the foundation we created for the Republic, which 100% of the funds have been used for Republic purposes only, and not $1 for Kelby Smith or his advocates or anything of the kind. As a matter of fact, I want to make a public statement so people understand just how deep I'm into this. And it's not about money. What I said to the Republic and the people in the Republic, if you hold a job and you have an oath of office and you have a letter from the president, so if you're a senator or a congressman or a governor from people within the Republic, and you give me two things, which are you're supposed to have an oath of office and an appointment letter from the president. You give me those two things, I will do your passport process for free. Hence, I'm not in it for the money. I'm trying to help people in the republic understand there is no republic without people. You can play this, oh, I want to be in the government game. I want to be a leader. I want to have this great big position of what? A bunch of US citizens? Sorry, Charlie. And no to SGNon. It is not done by the stroke of a mighty pen by the president when the corporation defuncts and goes away. No, that's not the way this works. The people, and I'm saying this respectfully, are self-governed. The people have God's given unalienable rights to choose to be a bondservant or a slave or the surety for a defunct corporation called the United States. So even if you were to take complete power back, which is not going to happen, remember there's Democrats out there, sorry. It's not going to happen. There are people that want to be the surety and the slave. There's some Republicans that are bad too, by the way. There's people that want to be the surety and the slave, and we can't get between their God-given unalienable rights. It's just not lawful in the Constitution. The people's rights to self-determine are absolute. The people's rights to self-contract are absolute. Self-contract is the highest form of law in any court. That means the president of any nation cannot say you are a slave if you don't want to be. He cannot say you are free if you want to knit your ear with that ring and say, I want to be a bondservant to this slave master after I get free. I still want to be the bondservant and wear the ring. It's a biblical thing if you know what I'm talking about. And I want to wear that ring for the rest of my life because I don't know what it's like to live off the plantation. So to SG and on, that's not true. And you're lying to the people, and you're lying about everything you wrote in your affidavit. Not everything, but a few things. And I'm just saying this because we have to be careful when we're playing this game of coming under God together. We have to be careful about harming our neighbor. And I would agree with the old president on that. I would agree that we have to be careful about how we operate in love. But chopping it in half and acting like this is acceptable and that you're not causing divisions, it just shows you're out of the game. It just shows you don't understand due process. Quit. That's fine. Quit. You can't have what belongs to God. We, the people, will never give it to you. As a matter of fact, this is not a joke with what I'm about to say. You may find yourself someday likened to some base where they detain you for insurrection. You may find yourself in that position one day. And that's not a joke. We've given up our lives in a lot of different respects. When I realized loans were fraud, I'm like, dang, oh, dang. Couldn't do them anymore. That's a couple million a year minimum pulling off the boat of the Smith family. But you know what? I gained a wealth of knowledge that no matter what, I was truly not free. No matter what, the way I was doing my deeds, the way I was doing my passport, the way I was doing everything was as a slave. So I listened to that guy. And I went to a seminar in '08, and then I went on a 6-month rampage to verify and validate what he was saying as being truthful. And he was. I don't know what's happened in the last 10 years. When you spend 10, 12 years in prison, it sucks. Guys, they move you to all kinds of, forget about the inmates. The inmates who get your ass handed to you, pardon my French, it's in the Bible, it's okay. You might get in a fight every now and then, who cares? You know, worry more about the people that are over you in prison than you should be worried about the people within prison because they can delegate the people within prison. So we don't know what he's absolutely gone through, but I do know one thing. I still love him like a brother, man. He's still very much a father figure, and it grieved me, and it grieves me as I talk about him right now because he's gone. He's out of my life. I can't accept what he is doing, and I can't accept how many people he's pulling with him. It's causing division. He's not bringing the republic together because, and these are his words, that the current leadership were operating in dishonor, that they were operating out of hate, not out of love. No, they were operating judicially properly. They were operating in the confines of their job, and they were operating under an opportunity that is clearly defined and allowed for them to. You may not agree with the decisions that they have made. I get it. I don't agree with all the decisions people around me make. I have to just think God's got this, man. You know why? Because that guy that went to prison, he was such a major part of the rehabilitation, and he was used mightily by God. No more. There is a time in which you will proclaim falsehoods about your people around you. You will not operate in the due process and procedure required under law because you were under law. You are not the president. The fact that your name is on the docs doesn't mean anything. It doesn't give you permission to take them with you and say, now we're taking this forward as the new and taking the flag and then sending out this bogus digital signature because you stole the data from the people in the republic. And now you're trying to operate a new republic. God will never, and listen to me closely, will never honor your decisions. Never. And I say that respectfully. I don't mean to cause a discord with you. I'm not trying to smack you around, but I am about to lawfully smack you around. And I'm about to hand your butt over in a form that you never thought of. And this is an absolute because you can't take what belongs to God and not expect God's people to stand up and have a response. We may be small, but we got rocks and we got a sling, baby. We may be a fledgling, but you know what? I know God is standing behind what I'm standing for and what thousands of people stood before me and did. And I don't think for a second as some new fledgling republic, Republic 2.0, which has caused the brotherhood to break up, which has caused a lot of lost love, and it's caused people to look really, really bad. I don't think for a second, and mind you, I was doing the same thing in 2012 when y'all got locked up. Everybody in the Republic, but two people left. There was a lot of supporters, but everybody in the leadership of the Republic left. And we surrounded each other and we prayed. And not only did we take care of you when you were locked up, we esteemed you before each other and the public. And I used to say, I can't wait to see you again. Now, my friend, I can wait. And it might be in a bad place where I see you again. And I don't mean to threaten you at all. I just have to stop what you are doing because it is flat out wrong. And with that being said, just know that this is what sin does. This is what violating everything you stood for does. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with Jim. It has nothing to do with anybody in any responsible position. This has to do with operating outside of the constraints of the law that we've created for ourselves. And that's what you've done. And you were a part of it, but you're no longer a part of it. I get it. So leave and just be gone. And all those people out there that are doing this, you're about to get nipped. And it's going to be in a bad way. And what I mean by that is you're going to figure out what saying things publicly without having any proof of anything. Oh, I've got wire transfers. You're full of it. There's no wire transfers. There's no truth behind any affidavit you're producing. There's no Ponzi scheme that's alleging a criminal organization. Stop. Just shut the blank up. Just shut up. You're stupid. Literally, you're dumb, dumber than a box of rocks, that you would go and do something like that and pick a fight with somebody who has got experience at dealing with banks and getting houses free and clear and keeping people in homes. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lawsuits over my time. I've figured a few things out, and you're about to rear the butt end of that transaction because you know what? I need to do it to shut you up. And you know what? You're going to pay my legal fees at a minimum, guaranteed. And I'm not going to enjoy any of it. I hate it. I hate it when people force this play. I hate it when I'm not able to come to a table and find resolve. I've asked to be on SGN, no calls, no nothing. Just go and talk negative and bull crap about people behind their back and don't give them an opportunity to have their 2 cents. It's because you're a liar. You're liars. I'm willing. You want to do this? Let's do this. I'm willing. I'm willing to debate the evidence that you don't have. I'm willing to talk about this dissension and work through it with you guys. But you can't make moves that are not legal or lawful. You have to make moves that work within the constraints of the law that you've already created. Boom, mic drop. Seriously, that's why we are together. That's why we are strong. We've already gotten through one agent, massive agent attack. I've already seen the play before, so the playbook is pretty easy to pick who's an agent. And it's either an agent for the federal government, it's either an agent for the devil, or it's an agent for stupidity. And I don't know which one you guys are, but I know a couple of you are agents for the federal government. I know a couple of you are agents for stupidity. Hee haw, hee haw, jackasses. Seriously, that's biblical. Everybody calm down. I don't even know what to say. I really don't. Apparently, I got a mouthful though. I just wish that we could come to a table and talk. But no, you can't because all you want to do is rip apart what God has put together. And that is not godly. That is the worst thing. As a matter of fact, God hates that twice, not just once, twice. People causing division amongst the brotherhood. Bro, watch your butt now. And I ain't gonna do anything. Well, I'm gonna do something, but it's legal. It's lawful. It's legal. It's more legal than lawful. And I'm gonna watch you guys squirm like little piglets, running, trying to figure out how to duck, hide, change this, have private meetings, do all this, all because some people needed regulatory clarity on what was in a bank account and because they didn't agree with the leadership of the people they voted for. So vote in a new one. Eject the old one. Impeach him. Go through the process. That's what Trump did. He beat 2 impeachments. He beat an insurrection charge. He got convicted multiple felonies of something that is just total BS. And they've now since found out the people that were involved in that conviction somehow have an extra $15 million. But he paid the cash bonds of $500 million. He did it lawfully. He went through the process and procedure of that corporation known as the United States and became the newly elected president. So do with that what you will. But guys, I love this nation and I love our people. And I'm just holding strong, trying to keep us together. But just like it's happening in de facto land, all the liars get caught. Truth always wins. Truth always wins. You can't get around a lie. You're going to be caught. And you can't get around sin. You're going to go to hell if you don't repent. That's just straight up. You know what I mean? And yeah, I get it. We've got the cross and all that. I'm not going to make this a biblical thing. But guys, look, we are this close to doing some major things. And I think God is going to bring some major things forward in and through and out of this. But we have to know that the Republic for the United States of America is absolutely the re-inhabited republic. And we have to know it's so important. It's going to take people that went to prison for 12 years and it's going to make them do certain things to drag people away from the republic because the republic is that important. I really believe that. And there's one of three things. Again, I'm just going to say this for the people that missed it before. Either they're spiritually compromised, they are taking some prescription drugs that makes them mentally compromised, or they have been compromised and bribed. And I don't mean bribed in a good way. I mean bribed in a bad way. So I want to just consider that as a response and a formal response, and just know that my formal response will be coming very soon, and I look forward to seeing how that spins out. But I do seek to have an opportunity to discuss things on a formal basis of why people think the Northwest Ordinance did not get adopted, why people think that this nation does not have a lawfully re-inhabited republic that can't be usurped by a single man and a splinter group of a couple governors, ex-governors, fired now governors, quit now governors, people that are no longer a part of the republic, how they can just come and start pretending like, hey, those docs we did in 2012 are going to go and apply only towards Republic 2.0, ignoring the 350, 400 people that showed up to Utah to re-inhabit that, whose signatures preceded yours. Remember, they preceded yours. They were the people's voice. You were operating as a president at that time that doesn't give you ownership rights or claim or interest in the republic at all. At all. So it's not yours, is my point. All right, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. Thank you for listening. First question. Was that fun? I hate it. First question. Our properties are paid and our deeds have already been written and acceptance is done correctly. Congratulations. We are not looking for a fight with the county to get properties unregistered if we can go another route. Our goal is just to, in the end, prevent confiscation ultimately. Just by the mere fact, just FYI, just by the mere fact that you have it in the foundation and you have the land instead of the property, if you need the legal description, you know what I mean? That's just huge. That's just huge. Now, second part of your question. Um, what if we did a counter deed? So just FYI, people looking up in Black's Law, the word deed, then counter deed, you may find it under C in some definitions, you may find it under D in some definitions. But the word counter deed is a private, unrecorded deed that, when presented into the public, trumps the public side recorded deed because generally a date, generally signed, you do, which means you do not need to record a deed into the county recorder. It's not a requirement. It's not something that is an absolute. It's something that's between you and the other party, and you can keep your deed private. It's called a deed, recognized in law as a counter deed. So the question is, what if we did a counter deed from one foundation to another that we have, and we pay the state real estate tax to complete the transfer, close the tax account too, and then record in a miscellaneous file in another state without registration? That's a good suggestion, but not make any mention to the county where the land is, those changes, but just continue. So just FYI, we have a ton of people in that process right now, and the state's like, they're not used to that. They're like, they've seen the closure of the tax account. They've seen no new deed over here. They just got a notice that this property's been sold and transferred. The county will make a request for the deed. It's not your problem to present a deed upon sale. And it's not the problem of the new owner to present a deed upon purchase. The new owner can keep it 100% private in between, them and the old owner. And what we're finding is that there's a lot of nothingness happening. I mean, we can't control what the counties are doing or not doing, and that's why we always say we're not going to make a product out of this to pull properties out of the county recorder, if you will. We do have a product where we do the deed properly. It's $4.95, and we have an automated system now where we help people that need to do a deed. And I'm saying this because when you look at what is being recorded now. Look, I'm just gonna say this, not because I listen to guys on Instagram a lot, and I go after what a lot of these quasi gurus are saying, and they're always talking about um, land trusts. They're always talking about patents. They're always talking about um, uh, the element of how to hold property, but nobody's talking about what I'm talking about. I've been a real estate broker for a long time. I've been in the real estate world for almost 30 years, and I would consider myself qualified, probably more so than most title attorneys out there, in understanding what can be accomplished at a county recorder, or what can be accomplished from a title standpoint. And the words of the deeds that we're currently being presented by lenders are not giving us true quality ownership of a property. And it's because they're using a legal description which is above the land, that's not land. It's a registered trademark under my understanding. It's under the Vatican. I have not traced it back to the Vatican yet, but it's for sure above the land. It's federal territory. So when you're using a legal description, you're giving yourself into federal territory is the point. It's jurisdiction 101. When you're using FRNs on the deed, 101 jurisdiction, because there's been Supreme Court rulings that where a Federal Reserve note is included on any transaction where it's being noted on the deed, you're absolutely a party to they are absolutely a party to the transaction. So now you have a threefold transaction. It's kind of like a marriage agreement. You go down, you get this marriage license, and the state is God in that license. And the state, literally, the Supreme Court has ruled that the product of the union belongs to the state. And I know people immediately think kids, and that could be one thing, but there's a couple things to consider when you're making that claim or statement. But for sure, the state oversees the license. The state oversees the marriage license. It's not matrimony anymore. It's marriage. And that's a legal defined term. So when I say I'm getting married next week, it's really I'm having holy matrimony next week. And we're going to be very specific on the words that we're using when we're taking our oath, and or what have you. So I'm saying this because when you're looking at the deed, you got to look at the elements of the contracts, and one of the elements of the contracts is the FRNs, and you want to use gold and silver. Another one of the elements is the vesting. Vesting is most critical. Vesting is title. Vesting is, how do you hold title? Is it joint tenants, tenants in common, um, sole, uh, fee simple? Fee simple is the closest that we have um, with absolute tenure and title all the way to the center of the earth. And so when you're taking an existing deed, and God bless the gurus out there that know everything, and nobody knows everything, but a lot of these guys are putting people in bad positions. Um, I see it all the time. It's hilarious. Use a Cook's Island trust. Use a Florida registered trust. Use a sole corporation trust. I'm like, dudes, come on. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that you learn, like, you're an outsider looking in, and if you weren't in real estate, you wouldn't understand that it doesn't matter really what kind of trust you're putting in. I mean, it does matter. Obviously, it matters, but it doesn't matter if your vesting is wrong. If you're a joint tenant, you're a tenant. Okay. What does the deed say? The deed is what? That's title. What is the trust? Nothing. It's how you're holding whatever this says. This is the doc. This is the most important doc. It's not the trust. It's not the unregistered nature of the trust. It's not the registered nature of the trust. It has nothing to do with the trust. It has nothing to do with the foundation. It has nothing. I mean, those are all great, fine and dandy, and it's a part of the ultimate component of this, the deed. And so I say it because I feel like I'm the only guy out there, and you're going to soon, over the next couple of years, watch. Everybody's going to be like, "Oh, this is so important. How you hold the deed and everything." Just remember, I was the guy. Okay, we give it away to people. We give actually the deed away to people that are going through the living in the private program for free as a template. We just Here's the template. It's easy to figure out. Input the stuff. We'll look at it. If it's right, we'll tell you it's right. If it's wrong, we'll tell you what you need to do to fix it, and you can save yourself $500. So. But if you don't want to worry about it, we will do it for you. And It's taking back a little chunk of America, one chunk at a time. Because what is going towards the debt of this nation is a bunch of houses on top of a legal description, because the United States is the ultimate controller and party to that, but not to land. The United States isn't conceded, has not lawfully conceded all the land in this nation. Now, obviously, if China comes over and brings a bunch of bow and arrows and kicks our butt, we're toast, you know. But the reality is, we do what we do with what we can do right now. And right now, we gotta straighten up what we've screwed up. And so this guy, David, has a ton of good questions with straightening up with what we screwed up. And he's like asking, how do we take it from the public and put it into the private as a counter deed, recorded into the miscellaneous records over in some other county recorder? Because then when you put it in the public over here, it's not in the real estate records with the APN over here and not taxable. Putting it over here just simply gets it into the public. Now you can put it on the back of a website and make it public and then point people to that. They can't record a non-original. You know what I mean? They have to have an original. So you can put it really anywhere is the point. Make it public. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing a lot of things with helping people make things public in the near future, because they are fighting, trying to keep everything from us getting information out. But once it's public, you can serve the county with constructive notice. This transaction, in fact, has taken place. We are electing to keep our counter deed in the private and know that we do not wish to contract you for taxation purposes, for the purposes of fire, police, and or whatever protection. Now, just understand something. You are removing the benefit of those emergency services, but I highly doubt they're looking in the county recorder when you call 911. You just may be more liable after the fact than somebody else who pays property taxes. But there's all kinds of things that you can do to make yourself safe and not have to worry about that stuff. So, um, but not make mention. Okay, so the question is what if we did a county deed from our foundation to another foundation that we have, and then pay the state real estate tax to complete the transfer, close the account, correct, and then close the tax account. So you're paying the tax to close and transfer, and then you're closing the account associated to the tax, saying I no longer am the proprietor. And they're gonna maybe write a letter, please hand us a copy of the deed, and you're like, no, thank you. But not make or mention to the county where the land is. Those changes, but they just continue to pay the county's property taxes as a donation or under duress of not being recognized as a charitable foundation. In the end, they can't find the new deeds or legally confiscate, can they? Well, let's just say this. If they did, if you put something, if you closed it out properly and you publicly recorded over here properly, and you serve them with a notice letter that you are the purchaser and you are not contracting with the county, nor are you recording, and you're electing to have your counter deed remain in the private, and that you will not be contracting them for an APN or taxation purposes. Now, what they are doing, because we've already been down this road a little bit, is they're sending these letters out to apply for a tax exempt status for the people that are going for that, or apply for no, that's it. They're not really doing anything for the people that are just going for the county or the counter deed and not submitting it to them. So you're in the public over here, you're safe. Now, what would happen if they were to try to foreclose on something that you did these processes with, where you notice them of a public recorded in a miscellaneous over here deed, and where you blocked out the name on the newly recorded owner, and where you blocked out a mailing address, and where you just served them with a notice that we are not recording, we are the purchasers of this, we purchased lawfully using gold. You know, you can say whatever you want to say, but noticing them of it, and you did it with a registered mail piece where they were actually physically walked in and delivered that piece of mail. I'm telling you, if they were to try to steal the property with long-standing law, supporting your right to a private deed, think about this for a second. You would have a huge case. There's a lot of attorneys out there that would pick up the cases behind counter deeds, pick up the cases regarding not having to register or record and allowing for yourself to remain in the private. And they would pick that up and sue the county recorder and they would win. They would absolutely win. So that's kind of why we're using their laws to structure up our ways to remain private. And right now we're in the process of, I'm going to guess 25 people in the middle of that. Not everybody has done what you're suggesting here. Some people have their own ways of doing things. We just supply the deed and we try to supply support where they need it. And just we want people to cross their I's and dot their T's. That's the critical thing here. But confiscation of what? Of what? You don't have a mailbox. Hopefully you're smart enough to get a fence. They can't come on to state of the union land. You got public notices. You're going to serve the sheriff with public notices of state of the union land that you own your properties free and clear, of no encumbrances. It's been brought into the private under a counter deed, and you show the law, and you just hand the sheriff this and just say, "Look, I don't want any controversy with you. I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm just a guy that knows the law a little better than the average bear. Stay off my land, please." And what are they going to do? They can't come on your land to serve you. They won't come on your land. Sheriffs are pretty smart about what state of the union land is. They start looking that stuff up. You don't have a mailbox to be delivered anything. This is why we do the things that we do in the living and the private. And so it's really important for you guys to get your minds um clear about what your process is going to be and what you're going to be willing to stand up to. And the reality is, are you willing to stand up and fight? And some people aren't. This person's willing to stand up and fight. And there's a procedure to be able to do that lawfully. And they're not going to, they can't steal something unless they know the parties. They can try to do a foreclosure of what? Unpaid taxes. There was nobody that applied for taxes. Who are you going to prove that applied for taxes? Who are you going to show that you made bills payable to of the new owner? You're not. See, we've thought this all the way through. Now, does that mean there isn't some forced thing that can't be done down the road of where they try to just inject something? And this is why I don't want to make this a product. It's not because we're doing something unlawful. We're not even doing something illegal. As a matter of fact, we're doing something completely lawful. And therefore, it would be stupid for them to do something illegal and encroach upon the rights of a true owner that's decided to keep his deed in the private. It's 100% lawful. Nobody can force you to register. Nobody can force you to record. That's one of the questions I got wrong on the broker exam practice tests. I've said this 1,000 times to people and his advocates members. I said, bottom line is, hey Kelly, type your question out. I'll get to it. Um, I've said this 1,000 times. When it comes to um the like even their own laws, are you required to record a deed in the county recorder upon finalizing a transaction? The answer for me was yeah, of course. And when I took the test, it was way back before I was even understanding this kind of stuff. And now I'm like, well, how did I get that wrong? I looked on the practice exam afterwards. I got that wrong. And the answer is there is no requirement to record. It's one of the practice questions for the broker's exam. I was blown away by it. But the bottom line is, we learn a lot together and through, and it's going to be utilizing somebody who is like an organization who's in the middle of a bunch of these, and we are creating letters and responses and things that we are making available for everybody. So don't worry about it, but it takes time. Um, what happens to real estate tax step when selling one foundation to another in the counter deed process, or do you just not tell the state about the sale? I would still put it in the public servant with notice, but make sure that you send me your letter and a copy of the deed that you're serving them with, so we can tell you what to do when you're serving them. Number two question: after privately recording only an affidavit, a sale record for a counter deed in another state. How does a title company find that deed when it's time to sell said property out of the foundation? The title companies are still going to be using the local county recorder. They're not going to be trying to find anything that's happening. If you're trying to sell the property, you're just going to take your deed to the title company and say, I never recorded. The title company is going to go and look for any recordings on the property, IRS, whatever. And they're going to make a determination based on the date on the deed and based on, like, say, IRS came after that. Well, who did they come after? How did they know to file a lien into that county recorder? So anything that would be filed into the county would be considered moot. But maybe at that time you just take that deed and then record it and then sell the property, and then you're going to have a proper chain of custody, and you're going to knock off just like a what an acceptance of deed does. When an acceptance of deed does, it retitles the property, knocks everything off from that acceptance. Remember, we used to do this to help people with foreclosure prevention, and one of the cases, if you've never accepted the deed, you've never consummated the transaction, therefore you're not even a party in the transaction. It's just a defaulted note. Um, but an accepted deed is just like an accepted deed, it goes all the way back to the point of which the original deed was signed. So once you've accepted, um, that knocks off everything forward. And literally people that have been removed um, legally from ownership on the property are now the owner again. And that's been an absolute. I've seen that happen multiple times. And then they have to go and do a whole new process of non-judicial foreclosure or go into a court and hope a judge is just going to waive the right of judicial process. And then also do an unlawful detainer. So it starts the process completely over. But to answer your question, no. Um, just there's no real estate tax. There's no taxation for anything, and it's a lost leader for them, in my opinion, because nobody's accepted the opportunity to pay tax, and you properly close the old tax account. Just get proof of the closure of the tax account upon sale. Done. Um, Question number three: Kraken and Caleb Brown both want socials. Don't worry about it. Just give it to them. To set up a foundation crypto account. Yep, give it to them, and we have to only mail out our final letters yet to finish the LPP. Congrats. Um, so look, everybody makes a big deal about associating an account to your social when you're opening up the account as a foundation. So if you're opening up an account as a foundation, it's not a big deal to give them your social because it's proof of identification only. The account number is under the tax ID number of the foundation. The tax ID number was done for banking purposes only in the private. So the account is still tax exempt 100%. And you are not monetizing anything with your social security number and placing it on that account. So people, do not worry about utilizing a social. When you see an all caps name on the application that you are now the beneficial interest on, you can still use the social on that account. What we tell people about the social security is just be careful. If you're worried about indictment, if you're worried about something coming down the road, and they're coming after the personal accounts. I saw such an, they're when you look at those indictments and you read the first two pages, they have the federal rules to file a federal case as a cover sheet. It's an intake, and they gotta show jurisdiction on the intake, and they gotta have an affidavit of jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction by the person who's filing the case. And so the first three pages of every federal lawsuit is proving that there is other jurisdictions on this land, and that the federal government just doesn't autonomously have absolute jurisdiction or tenure over the people. They have to prove subject matter jurisdiction. And so the point being is, if you're not worried about federal indictments, meaning you're operating above reproach and you've closed the IRS account properly and you've closed your taxation accounts properly and let them set off whatever they want to set off. Um, First and foremost, if you guys have tax issues, give us a call. I have names and numbers of people that are having 100% success on those issues. Um, and we're doing it in a very unique way. And I'm just referring out to these people. We're not partaking any revenue model um, with them. We just want to get you guys help. So just know that and just understand we're here to close out those matters. But from a standpoint of Caleb and Brown, or from a standpoint of credit card transactions, um, you're gonna want you're gonna want a uh, when you're private, you're gonna want to make sure that you're not utilizing the Social Security for the benefit of gaining credit. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying if you do, that is something that could be brought into a case proving subject matter jurisdiction, potentially. That's all I can say. Um, all right, so if you guys have any questions, I'm going to hit the Q&A for in just a minute, but I'm going to answer Kelly's. I've already recorded the deed back to my foundation a while back. I thought I was okay at the time. So from what you're saying, I can get out from underneath the thumb using the right series of actions. I'm not guaranteeing anything, Kelly, but there are people in the process of doing that and being left alone currently, and as described in everything previous. I recorded the deed, but did not register it without the recorder did that without my permission. Do me a favor, explain what you mean. The recorder recorded it and did not register it without your permission. Explain that a little bit further, please. Michael, restate your question a little bit. I'm the fee for your service of helping me gain what's rightfully mine. Depends on what you're trying to do. There's a lot of different things that we offer, Michael. I'm going to the Q&A now. Last time doing my taxes. Congratulations, private man. Wife is not going through the living in the private program. I'm sorry. When she files married, filing separately, does she list me as a non-resident alien? No, because you're defining yourself under a code that they do for a state citizen, which can still be granting them jurisdiction over, even though you're not signing it, it still could be in their mind legally, lawfully granting jurisdiction. Theoretically, under IRS code, a state citizen will be considered a non-resident alien, but I would never define myself as that. You know, why would I want to pick something under the IRS code? Just, tell her to leave your name and also remember it's the all caps name going on that 1040 as filing sole and separate. So if she's going to be doing that, um, and again, I'm not an expert on filing IRS docs from a standpoint of how do you list, where do you list the husband? But if it's going to be me, I'm going to list the husband in all caps and put the social because that's really what pertains to the individual. The birth certificate is the social security and the all caps name is the actual U.S. citizen. And your marriage has now been tied together. It's tying two birth certificates together as one, to which they own both. Um, you haven't done the revocation of election yet, so you got to do that right away. You have a new passport. Congratulations. Get the revocation done, bro. Get all three IRS docs done. All three are very pertinent. And then just keep coming back and asking your questions. We'll get you down the road. Can we just switch jobs? My new employer demands a W-4 form. How can we go about this issue so I can use my foundation? Peter, we can't force employers how to accept a W-4 versus a W-9. But what you can do is request a copy of one of the W-4s that we create, and you can fill it out appropriately, which would not grant jurisdiction over the individual listed on the W-4. Anonymous attendee. I'm currently waiting for my passport and card. I sent back in the mail. I submitted through HISA, but I have to renew the driver's license, and that has an area that says the SSN is required. My question is, will putting the SSN on the driver's license renewal undo anything with the passport and state? No. Remember, we're talking about an artificial person and a real living man or woman. On the passport application, you're coming in as a real living man or woman. On the driver's license, it's always going to be in all caps. That's the artificial person. The artificial person has been assigned the social security number. So the only thing that I would do different on the renewal is I would sign non-assumptive in cursive handwriting. Literally, not my name, the word in cursive, non-assumptive. Concerning filing taxes my last year, congratulations, Jamie. And thank you for the use of your house and your bathroom. And I hope I left it in an appropriate fashion. Um, in Texas at the event. I appreciate it. I did not pay the amount owed for 2023. I'm still working on my primary home out in the foundation. Can they put a lien on income taxes on my home if it's still in my personal name? Yes. How would I know? Okay, first and foremost, Jamie, go like this. Breathe. You got plenty of time. They don't do liens for years. Okay, so you're golden. So you're talking about 2019 not filed taxes, letter. We're going to do this lien. They put it in the county recorder and it goes on to any property attached to the name. Takes a long time. Just get the house transferred. So if we have recorded the deed to go from personal to private foundation, it would be good to do a counter deed unrecorded anyway to fully remove the property from taxable. I would love to have all land free and clear of any encumbrances, especially 12,000 a year property taxes, wouldn't you? I mean, why not? But the bottom line is, it's work, it's effort, and you got to be methodical, and you got to be willing to put up with a fight. You got to be willing to understand that they may send somebody to the house, and it's different when you have a condo than when you have a home with property and a fence that doesn't open and no mailbox to, drop anything on and so forth. So just consider that. Just consider that. Anyway, I don't see any questions over in YouTube. Any other further questions anybody want to ask? Okay, how to protect against someone trying to steal your property on the de facto side when you are not recorded in their system. Do you need to go to court with your counter deed? No, but you can. Now, Todd, do me a favor, explain your situation a little bit further. Jump in that. Kathleen, I don't answer questions necessarily live. Do me a favor and post your question under the Q&A or down below in the comments. I'll get to it, I promise. But Todd, do me a favor, explain your question a little bit better. Like who's trying to steal it? Don't give me a name. Why? What is the element? Um, cause of action. And what do you mean not recorded in their system? How are they stealing a property not recorded? Did you remove the property from the county and how? That's what I don't understand. Anyway, I think that first half of the phone call really punched me in the gut. So if y'all didn't hear it, it's been a rough couple weeks and we're working this through. All right, counties in the state of New York appear to create deeds that look like what you're describing of meets and bounds and also do trust indenture. Also, a trust indenture is created. So what exactly is the trigger that creates the property tax obligation? Do you have experience in New York? Yeah, we do. The trigger is you're contracting upon recordation of the instrument to pay the property taxes. They're just going to submit a bill and you pay it. Um, if the deed that you have is done properly and in the private, you have an argument for why you don't have to. If the deed is not done properly in the private, then the obligation is to pay. You're using uh, maybe a artificial person's name, maybe a corporation's name. I see what you said, meets and bounds, trust indenture, and all that. But again, just because you've recorded a foundation or a private trust with meets and bounds doesn't mean that the county is not going to attempt to contract you. Then it doesn't get you out of the obligation. Remember, a recordation is very different than a registration. And when you say those words to a county recorder, they're going to be like, no, they're synonymous. No, they're not. The old recordations, you weren't registering the property. What makes the property registered is the style of the deed. What makes the property registered is the legal description, the FRNs, the vesting, um, the use of the all caps name for the vesting and or a corporation's name for the vesting. So you may be bringing a properly styled deed if it has FRNs on it, and you have, and this is why we say there's like 5 or 6 elements to a deed that need to be considered that the state has trapped people in. So if you've got a properly vested deed, with a foundation and using meets and bounds, but you did an exchange for consideration in Federal Reserve notes, you're screwed. They're a party to it. So think about those things. And that's why, again, if you're in the living in the private program, we can help you with a deed that's been done properly and done in the private. Next question. I want to put my UPS box address on my license. Can you talk about how to do that? Well, I can tell you what I did. Um, and it was kind of a two-step process. So and I had to, and in California, it was very difficult, but um, I got a UPS box on my driver's license. And no, I'm not going to show you my driver's license, but I do. Um, well, I'll show it to you. Hold on. All right. So y'all are going to get to know my birthday. Okay. So 2271 West Malvern Avenue, number 292, Fullerton, California, 92833. That's a PO box or UPS. The point I'm trying to make is everything is a battle. I mean, Eddie, come on. They don't want to give up on anything. But at that time I didn't have to lie to them. I said, I don't have an address, guys. I said, I literally am a sojourner and I own an RV. And that is my address. And I need this driver's license. So they didn't argue with me. The other way to get it done is you just notice them of an address change. You do it with a certified mail or registered mail of a new address and use their form, and they can put no PO box or whatever, no UPS. Just say, just do and don't lie, but do a formalized letter. Work it out to where this is my only address that I can receive mail in this name at this time. I thank you. Please forward all mail and send out put this address and remove this other address and send it to them registered mail. And they're going to get in the system. They're going to realize it's a United States Post Office box. They might write a letter in response, but you keep going back. I don't have any other address, and people are executing and getting the box on their driver's license, and it's work. It's not nothing freeing is work. Okay, didn't see the right way to post. Thanks, Kathleen. Regarding the fee schedule, which wraps up the LPP, how come one attain the knowledge to know when and to begin the a process of litigating for abuse of some LP right that has been violated? First, Kathleen, we haven't. I want you to just breathe. And I'm not making fun of you when I say that. I'm just saying breathe. Don't go there in your mind. Stay away from that. The process of worrying about rights that are being violated. Number one, if you're still utilizing the license, you don't need to worry about getting pulled over. Even though we do have a ton of members that are utilizing the passport card instead of a license and don't have issues because they close the license down properly. But I'm not saying do that. I'm only, it's coming May. This is the driver's license is going to be, you're not going to be able to travel in the United States with a driver's license anymore if unless it's real ID. Mine says federal limits applies in that top right corner right there. Um, and I'm not going to get real ID, but I'm right now finishing up and just got final approval on a passport. And so passport is real ID. But to answer your question, Kathleen, do me a favor. And this is just a simple training thing. There are people that have form and effect in using um, documents to uphold their God-given unalienable rights, but our docs have not produced a single incident for anybody anywhere that has caused them harm. And we teach the form and effect that allow for you to operate freely without worry. Um, and to where if you're gonna close the license down, again, it's that question, what is illegal but 100% lawful? Driving without a license. It's illegal, but it's 100% lawful. It's illegal for a US citizen or for somebody that didn't properly close the driver's license account. It's illegal for somebody that has a suspended license that's still open. It's illegal for somebody, that is operating as a US citizen and holding that office as US citizen and not listening to the statute, code, or ordinance required for the US citizen, but for a state citizen or for somebody who is only operating through the passport or through the passport card, guys, there's professionals that have written a lot of great content that you can print out for yourself and you hand to a law enforcement officer. Every single thing that they do from the time to which they roll up on you, you can be prepared for with a simple letter, and they cannot ask you for anything to engage you once you've pled the fifth. And I don't want to get into all that right now, but I'm just saying I have seen it over and over where law enforcement has to walk away from a traffic stop because somebody doesn't give them anything, doesn't engage in a conversation, doesn't show them a driver's license, doesn't, holds up a passport. The only thing they can nail you for is failure to identify. Well, they didn't even, Brown versus Texas says they need to watch you commit a crime, and it is not a crime to be pulled over for a traffic infraction. And so Brown versus Texas is clear. You do not need to identify unless they have witnessed you commit a crime. So they're saying, like, why the emergency lights, officer? I mean, what crime have I committed? Oh, you haven't committed any crime. Oh, we're doing an investigation. Oh, great. Now I'm just going to plead the fifth from this point forward. There's literally statements that you can do that you can put up against the window and let them read, and that you do not need to show anything. And if they say that you need to identify, you can put the passport card up against the window, and they're not going to be able to do anything. Sometimes you do have law enforcement that, like one of my best buddies, 6'6", family, he's alone. He showed his passport card. You know what, the only thing they could arrest him on was failure to identify, but he showed him the passport card. He won his case. It was dismissed. Everything that they arrested him for was dismissed. The wife called me, and she was frantic. Oh my God, my husband's in prison. I'm like, no, he's in jail. He's at the county. Don't worry. He's fine. He's 6'6". He's okay. And I said, if anything, he's probably loving it right now. He's getting a nap. Don't worry about it. But they got him on a Friday night, and he bonded out, I think it was Sunday, but I don't, no, no, no. He didn't bond out till Monday because he didn't have a hearing and or bond hearing until Monday. Anyway, um, yeah, cops use canine dogs. Cops break laws all the time, but you know what? That stuff, I've got cameras on my truck. And it's unfortunate, but we got to think through those things. I just don't. Here's my point for saying this, Kathleen. I don't accept that for myself. I don't meditate on that and create that environment for myself. I'm going to tell you guys a story of a married lady who got into arguments with the county and the city and was standing up. She was an attorney standing up against the city, claiming this, that, and the other. And she got so infatuated with what was going on. Then she started investigating this and investigating this person, and all these things started opening up. And then it opened up all the way to a drug cartel that was behind some stuff. And she could not let go, and she wanted to ride this out and taking on the world and the transactions and manifesting the worst possible case scenario. She used to talk about, I'm going to be kidnapped. You could hear her say these things. This is what they're doing. This is what they're going to do. This is what, and you know what? She was kidnapped and she was dragged behind a car in Mexico and left after dragging her for a couple of miles. They murdered her and she literally spoke it into existence. Kathleen, that's all I'm saying. We have power in our tongue. Speak life, speak health. And this is what I teach the VIP members Mondays, 8 a.m., Thursdays, 8 a.m. Currently, I'm considering switching it to Tuesday at 8 a.m. But Mondays at 8 a.m. and Thursdays, I'm speaking life into the VIP members, into the IBOs, people that are um, with his advocates and other stuff that we're doing. And I'm showing them how to think through because there's the physical battle, which is the LPP process and becoming free. And then there's the spiritual battle. And the spiritual battle is really where we gain the most traction, really where we control the environment, our future, our environment the most. So really take heed on this and don't put emphasis. It is absolutely there to help you out. It is absolutely there to be a safe haven, but you don't want to put a thought into this. You don't worry about getting ready for it. We will worry about getting ready for it. You live outside of their jurisdiction in your mind and in your physical person. And I really say this from the bottom of my heart because I've watched more people, they say things about themselves, and I say, if you say so, so it be. And they gulp. Oh, snap. Because we are very powerful. And I worry about the people, and I don't want you to create something for yourself. I want you to live free in your mind and watch what happens. Um, for example, somebody is unlawfully detained in the airport as a state citizen, just as an example. What I'm really asking is how does one predetermine whether the de facto law might be overstepping its bounds? I don't know how you can predetermine whether they're overstepping their bounds, but I think everybody in an airport is overstepping their bounds on what they're allowed to do. Um, I got frisked all the way up. They felt my nuts, and it was blew my mind that they were allowed to do that. And I had a guy looking into the case, and it was a lot to take on TSA. But we seriously considered it, and it's not out of the park yet, but we're seriously considering it. Next question. So if my his advocates generated recorded deed shows up on in the county system, did it get recorded? Yep. Yes. I thought you couldn't receive mail in your name even if it's at a UPS box. That's correct. What I teach people is to receive mail in the foundation name. Receiving mail in your name is jurisdiction 101. Had a real situation yesterday. What happened is traveling home, stopped by Rockydale. Well, police in Georgia didn't understand why I was being stopped. It wasn't speeding. He flagged me to stop in a parking lot. I just stopped, and where it said the officer came to my window and commanded me to get out of the car. I asked, why am I being stopped? He said my tag's on my car, so I'm not understanding. He said to me, give me your driver's license, give me my passport card. I have private plates that I changed in January of 2025. I also put my car in a revocable trust. I have a DOT number. It's also under my trust. Once I did not give him my license, he got really upset and told me to get out of my car. He said if I didn't get out of the car, he would drag me out. I said, what do I do? He said, get out of the car. He put his arm in and unlocked my door and opened the door and pulled me out. I was so surprised. This officer took my purse, looking inside my purse. So look, Cynthia, you're giving a complete scenario, and there's no real question there. And I can tell you 100 different things that I would not have done, or a few different things that I would not have done if I were you in your situation. And it's too long to talk at this point, but if you do want to address this, um, you've had pretty much everything under the sun violated. and you had a right to your person, place, and things. Your Fourth Amendment was violated. You presented identification. You have a DOT number on a plate. It sounds like you did everything okay. But if you have a license and he found it and he gained jurisdiction, but he did it illegally, and any attorney would know what to do with that. That's about the extent I'm going to put into that right now, because it's been about an hour and a half. Guys, look, be blessed, man. Thank you for listening. There's so many different issues that are going on in training in the law enforcement community, with the simple fact that there are people that are not under their jurisdiction, that the Supreme Court has already ruled. State law doesn't trump federal court law. Admiralty law is the highest form of law in this land. This is why they create the admiralty courts that they do. It's evident we are learning together. Um, but just know this, what we do as a ministry, I don't set people up the way Cynthia um, was set up. I set people up to keep the jurisdiction in their pocket, and keep a license in their pocket, without usurping the right as a state of the union citizen. And the way that we do it is very unique, and it's using the federal rules of procedure and creating a lawfully a new contract done under administrative procedure. And so just know that everybody has their own way and unique way. And it didn't sound like Cynthia did anything wrong necessarily, because but if there was a license in there, he's gained jurisdiction over her. He just did it illegally and unlawfully according to the Fourth Amendment. So, guys, be blessed. Just know that we, as a ministry, we've got your back. Get this video out to your friends and family, and let them watch really what's going on out there. We need to know more than what we're being told. And we do have 85,000 subscribers on YouTube. But it's just weird. It's like sometimes it goes up 10,000 in a month, and then we get throttled. And like it hasn't gone up hardly at all in the last couple of weeks. And I watch videos that'll have like 400 or 500 views. The next day it'll have 100 views. So we get throttled, and it's pretty obvious. They don't want this kind of stuff out. And so that's why we developed His Advocates TV, by the way. Um, we are back up on Android Play Store. But you have to type out the full word, hisadvocates.tv. His Advocates, one word, .tv, all one word, like the website address. Hisadvocates.tv. Have your friends download that onto their phone, or go to the Apple Store and type His Advocates and download our apps. I'm going to tell you this. I'm working towards next week. I'm busy. The following week is debatable but probable, meaning for this Q&A. I'm going to make every effort to put the Q&A um, off of Zoom and onto His Advocates TV and onto YouTube and everywhere else. If I can get away from Zoom, Zoom can only go out to one location at a time. So I'd have to take Zoom, which I can, and go to like a rebroadcasting type service and then shoot it off. But I haven't set all that up yet. So what's probable is whether or not we're going to be there, because I'm doing something fun next week um, on that following Monday. But I'm not sure whether it's going to be through Zoom. So please pay attention to the emails and the text messages. What's cool about you registering on His Advocates TV is when we go live, we shoot you a push notification. So you get hit 3 ways and you really don't miss anything. Then you just click the push notification, brings you right to the live stream on His Advocates TV. And you can watch it live on your phone, just like you watch it live on YouTube or what have you. Either way, God bless. Thank you for your time. I know I'm snide sometimes. I know I'm coy. I know I'm brass. And forgive me for all the failures of not being a good Christian boy, especially using some words that are in the Bible, but used wrongfully. And I appreciate it, but just know we're trying to hold um, the people together, and I don't think God wants to see us divided. That's all. And I have a real heart towards people dividing the people, and it's rule 101 with crushing a nation. It's have everybody hate one another, and that's all they're doing in the Republic now too. So God bless you guys. Keep us in your prayers, and we thank you for watching. Have a great